time for another round of Brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand. With your hosts, Reilly Newman and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Welcome back to another round of Brandy. Something big just happened in the advertising world.
The Super Bowl.
You most likely watched at least one commercial during this event, or watched all of them, because sometimes the ads actually get more attention than the game.
They do. There's a lot of people that tune in, like will go to a Super Bowl party. They could care less about the teams or the football game, but they just go for the social factor, the food, and watch some memorable commercials.
Oh yeah, tons of money pours into these commercials every year. This was the 59th Super Bowl. So what was the amount on that 30-second slot that you looked up?
So on average, a 30-second, granted, that's a pretty long commercial. A lot of commercials are even 15 seconds. But a 30-second spot was, on average, $8 million advertisers were paying to acquire a spot, which is a lot of dough. Yeah. And so if you're tuning into us and you're into branding, or you're a small business, or you're an entrepreneur, whatever, this is probably, obviously you're not advertising the Super Bowl. So we're going to talk about Super Bowl. We're going to talk about some of these Super Bowl ads, but more from the actual perspective of brand, and whether some that we think, in our opinion, worked well, and ones that others that didn't. But we want to talk about the Super Bowl ads as it comes to brand, and whether it was effective for the brand, right? Because a lot of people, even you're not spending $8 million on a TV commercial, but you might place an ad in a newspaper. You might, there's so many different ways you can reach your audience, whether it's posts, social media, right? Videos, reels, everything that you're doing. In a sense, you're kind of creating little mini commercials if you're into doing that. And are they memorable? Are they impactful? Are they thought-provoking? Or are they just trying to be goofy and funny, right?
Right.
Your brands are always doing this. So
yeah. And I feel like when it comes to advertising, $8 million for 30 seconds plus production costs of hiring celebrities or producing the darn thing, it's all relative, right? And that's really, you have a $500 billion business or corporation that's making a $8 million investment in a 30-second slot. It's relative, and it actually makes sense for them. So put that in your shoes, like Scott's saying, where it's going, okay, the same principles can apply that makes a successful Super Bowl ad in our eyes for a brand, and applying that to your business in a relative budget that you may be paying for an ad or marketing. Yeah. And I think the main thing that we're really going to hammer home is just the focus on brand. And if these ads, this messaging, the presentation of it doesn't make sense, does it connect? And yes, they're using things that we've talked about before, like comedy, some nostalgia, some celebrity endorsements, and things like that with brand association, but really getting to the principle of going, okay, did this ad even make sense? Did it actually resonate?
And I think that's what I've noticed is over the years of watching a lot of Super Bowl ads, is that they're trying to stand out, be different, be sometimes random, right? Because everyone is vying for their commercial to be memorable in the audience's mind. So you get and it kind of equates to me is when you get into like other companies, other small brands, like following suit when it comes to viral videos and viral reels, right? Oh, well, everyone's doing this, so we're going to do it. And it just comes off just random and like, what are you doing? And I feel like a lot of, even some of these high budget, right, well-produced commercials just come off really random. Like, for instance, if you saw the Totino's pizza roll commercial that had this kind of ET-like alien that the kids had befriended, and then it kind of goes on. It was a long spot too, and it goes on with them. These dads are kind of saying goodbye, but they're like, well, you never really engaged with that. It was just this weird thing, and then he gets crushed, I guess, by the spaceship and the bag of Tostinos, and then the dads are justified for not having a tight relationship because they're not heartbroken the alien died, and they're just all about the pizza rolls. It was just the weirdest,
very off the wall,
weirdest commercial that I was like, what is going on?
Granted, it is, those two actors I think are very funny. The one guy's from, I think it's called, like, it's on Netflix, called I Think You Should Leave or something like that. And then the other guy, he's in some comedy, but they're very off the wall. Especially the guy from the Netflix show, very random, off the wall, very like Tim and Eric, kind of Adult Swim humor. And so it made sense for that. And then it's like, okay, then you're tying in these kids. It has this Super 8 kind of Stranger Things ET vibe. And then you have this off the wall, just random, trying to be funny. And yes, it was random. It was weird and wacky. And I just feel like, those ads that do that, they just kind of, they're almost like piecemealing. Okay, we need the celebrity from over here, and then we'll take this concept, and okay, it's like ET, but we'll change it for this.
And so many different cameo. A lot of times they'll do all these like some very famous people little cameos. Another one that bothered me because it just felt like they were trying too hard, and it just came out really weird. Was the Dunkin', the Dunkin' Donuts, ad with Ben Affleck and his brother, and there's just. I don't know. It got to the point then it became like this sing off with another group from a universe. It was just I'm going, where is this going? And how is this selling me for coffee or whatever? And it just.
And that same one had Jeremy Strong, and we were watching it, Scott and I, and I'm like, who is that?
Yeah.
And they're making a big deal. Oh, he's a method actor, yada, yada, yada.
So that part of it was all based on you knowing
him being a method actor.
The crux was you knowing exactly who that actor was, understanding that, oh yes, he's a method actor. So literally him bathing or submerging and marinating, whatever it is,
it was coffee,
sticky, gooey coffee. I don't know what it was, but it was a vat of something.
Sewage.
So again, maybe you find a little amusement, but if you didn't know who that was, you were left going, I don't get the joke.
Right.
And here's the thing. We're going to be talking also about, like, obviously so many Super Bowl commercials or so many brand involve endorsements, right? So there's a lot of celebrity endorsements. But one of the hinges of it is that you have to ask yourself, like, were the brands smart in using who they chose and why? And are you going to get it? And here's an example. Reilly and I were sitting around reviewing some of we found a YouTube channel that was showing all the Super Bowl commercials. We were reviewing them, right, to freshen our memory before going in to record this podcast. And we watched the Hellman's Mayo commercial. And right away, Reilly was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this one. I didn't get it. And this is the one with Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, and they're reenacting a scene from the movie When Harry Met Sally, which is Reilly, how old are you?
32.
Okay, 32. I'm going to be 57 this year. So there's a little bit of an age gap between the two of us. But I immediately got it. As soon as I saw the two of them sitting in a diner, as they are now, today old, reunited on the screen, I knew exactly what this commercial was, and I get it. And I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a trip down nostalgia. I loved the movie, and it was a great sell for the Mayo. Yeah. But Reilly, it was a complete miss because he's like, okay, oh, is that Meg Ryan? Then he's like, I have no idea who Billy Crystal is. So again, when you latch into a celebrity or an endorser, if it hinges, right, if the whole ad and the concept of the ad or the concept of even the why is this happening? I don't get it. Whether it's supposed to be funny or endearing, if you don't understand that, don't make that connection as an audience, it's going to be lost.
Right, and then probably for myself and people my age, it almost like it increases the chasm between us ever buying mayo, which granted, my family and I, we don't eat mayo. We eat like avocado oil mayo. We don't eat Hellman's or whatever it's called. So they could know that and go, okay, it's for the older audience who have seen this, right? My only association with Meg Ryan is You've Got Mail because my mom watched that movie so many darn times growing up.
And this is right around the same time that When Harry Met Sally, so it's the same era,
like
right?
Rom-com.
Yeah.
So it's, and that could be, it may have made sense where they were going, hey, this is our audience. They'll get it.
Yeah.
And then, who cares about the young guy?
But spending I would throw it out there, do you drop $8 million when you're only going to be capturing 50% of your audience?
That's a good point.
It was something high profile like that. Maybe, again, whether that was justified cost, but...
Well, the same thing with the Dunkin' Donuts is that Jeremy Strong, he comes out of the vat of whatever it was,
and I'm like, I don't even know what it is.
Who is that? And they have his name on the wall. Jeremy
on the
Strong.
door.
And I'm like, I have no idea this. So I Google him, and it's the guy from Succession on HBO. And I literally just finished that in the last 3 months. I got caught up on that show, and I finished it. Amazing show. And he's one of the main characters, and I didn't even recognize the poor guy.
Now, we talked about how there's the lack of, if you don't know who the celebrity is, the commercial can fail. I also want to talk about one where it was obvious who the celebrity was, but it had really nothing to do with, it was a misfit for the concept, and that was the Skechers commercial, because they decided to pull out the coach for the Chiefs, and I recognize him because he was also for 12 years the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, and then for the last 14 years he's been the head coach of the Chiefs. So you get this famous NFL, right? Most of your NFL football fans are going to recognize him right away. Andy. Okay, I knew it was Reid, but Coach Reid, that's why I've always heard of him. But okay, Andy Reid. So I knew that, there's that connection. Skechers position him as my other gig is a hand model, and it's to sell hands-free slip-on sneakers. Now, right away, and the way they even position, you know that he's not a hand model. So you're like, okay, why are you doing that? And then what is that? So therefore, it didn't connect with the product. It was so random, and it was like, I get it, but I didn't understand, like, okay, you've got a hands-free slip-on sneaker you're trying to advertise as a brand, so let's just pick someone that's obvious, and why would he be not having, oh, he's a hand model, I got it. So you can almost picture the ad agency war room where they're throwing out ideas, and it was like, oh, that's great. And some guys, oh, let's have Coach Reid, but position like, oh, he's a side hustler, his side hustle is a hand model, and the way they portrayed it was very humorous. Right. And then this is why I like sneakers. And it was just like, and that was it. And it was just like, what?
It reminded me of a concept that like Coach Reid would come up with his drinking buddies. Like, oh, Reid, you've always been the hand model. But it's just been, it's amazing to me when you do see these where it's like, oh, well, we'll get this celebrity, fill in the blank, whoever's available, and then we'll connect it over here and do this. And even the chef guy with his
Chef Ramsay selling his Hex
cookware, and then it gets a little out of control with the alien, and then you have Pete Davidson coming out of nowhere,
comedian, yeah,
and then they're connecting them.
I don't even. And that's the thing too.
It's so random.
It's always about what the commercials is like. They can be funny and off the wall, and at the end you go, wait, what were they selling? Yeah. So I think there's different ways of presenting it. I think that, like, for instance, some brands, like the Stella Artois commercial that had Matt Damon and David Beckham, and it was a humorous, ad, not off the wall. It was well thought. The humor was had well placement. Even the end with a little tiny jab of Matt Damon towards Ben Affleck, just because they had that rivalry, which is fun. But throughout the commercial, they had product placement.
Yeah,
they showed at the very beginning. He's drinking the beer. He's sitting it down. There's a shot of the glass. There's a shot of the bottle. They did that a couple times in the commercial, so you knew it was a Stella Artois commercial. And then there's other ones that you don't even know what they're selling until the very end, and I don't think that's effective.
Yeah, like the NerdWallet one. Oh, he's talking like a dolphin, and then at the very end, NerdWallet. Like, it's
right.
And they're trying to show intelligence and make these connections, and that's where I think your point to going. There's a difference between humor and funny and great writing behind a concept and wacky and off the wall. And I remember back, like, whatever, that was probably 10 years ago, when you started seeing these ads from Google and kind of the tech movement where they were being very avant-garde and doing these off the wall commercials. I feel like you started seeing this, and then you had Old Spice hit a home run with their very wacky off the wall, like that whole thing. But that was creative through and through. The execution was brilliant. And the writing was great. It wasn't just off the wall for being off the wall.
Or it needs to be relative. For instance, there was the commercial, there was an Instacart commercial.
Right.
And they had all the great famous brands, brand mascots, the Jolly Green Giant, the Energizer Bunny, Kool-Aid guy, all these different, even the Old Spice guy on the horse.
Yeah.
And they were all en route, and they are all showing up someone's porch. And at the very end of the commercial, it was like, oh, it's for Instacart. Mm-hmm. Now, that made sense to me. There was it was memorable enough that if I think back, remember that commercial with all those brands in it, right? Because when we were watching this, I was like, what is this for? This is great. Look at all these old brands. And I was like pointing them out, and being obviously a brand guy, I was like geeking out on it, but I thought it was great. But I was like, what's this for? And then it became Instacart. I'm like, oh, and I made that connection, and I thought that it was smart because what they were bringing it to really related to that to the brand.
Yeah, it wasn't just off the wall random, but actually the whole kind of plot made sense.
Right,
and that's kind of like, if you know me, I really don't like celebrity endorsements, and I don't like celebrity placement when it's just out of nowhere. Like if it's commercial and they just have Martha Stewart randomly. and it just doesn't make any sense.
But you are a Matthew McConaughey fan, and I think you
But-
enjoyed the
But no,
Uber
and this-
Eats commercial.
This is my point, though, is that Matthew was in character.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, hey, it's a H&R Block commercial, and Matthew's sitting there doing his taxes. Like, it's just kind of like, okay, it's him in his
Yeah.
like weird like personal life doing tax or something weird, right? And that's what I feel like some of these commercials are, where it's like, okay, we'll have so and so sitting down there enjoying the product, and it's just like, and then we'll throw in Jackie Chan comes in and says some little remark, and it's just like, okay, that's not the
Or there you
commercial.
got- or-
but
yeah.
the Uber Eats one with Matthew McConaughey was genius because he's in character. They tell this whole his Super Bowl conspiracy of it all being about food and them selling food and making people hungry, and that ties in again, hungry food, Uber Eats. Like it connects so.
But then they
well.
threw in, like, for instance, they threw that one line in that one cameo with Martha Stewart. She goes, they're talking about the Caesar Stadium, and she's like, and I name it after a salad. Well, Martha Stewart's not. No, I mean, like,
She's not a salad
she's,
person.
but it's not like she was Paul Newman, right? Who makes salad dressing, like for him, Paul Newman or whatever, talking about injecting all of a sudden another celebrity's quick spot, and he's referencing salad.
Yeah.
There's a connection, but it was like,
Why Martha Stewart?
Why is she sitting on this board when
Yeah,
Matthew?
I
It was
agree.
all about Matthew McConaughey, and it
Yeah.
just again seemed random.
Yep, I didn't like that.
But
part.
that was the only aspect of. I thought it was a fun.
But even the
commercial.
Kevin Bacon part was more
Yeah.
palatable to me, where it's like, okay,
It
nice
made
little
sense.
cameo, and he's making bacon jokes. Which poor guy. Yeah, I wonder how many bacon jokes he's made in his life. Like it's probably
But everyone loves Kevin Bacon.
yeah, he is.
He's a fun
what,
celebrity.
7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Some other ones that I think we're talking about celebrities. I thought the Ritz Salty Club one was fun.
Yeah.
When you get actors or personalities that are considered just
That wasn't my favorite.
it wasn't.
No.
But I thought
it was the same thing of going, okay, who can we get? They have the concept of salty, right?
Right, but that's what again.
At least that ties it
Is there a
in.
connection to it?
Yeah.
And for them to highlight an aspect of the brand, right? I actually love Ritz because one of the reasons is because they are salty. I like salty
Yeah.
crackers, and Ritz are always salting that butter. So for them to highlight a component of the brand,
Yeah.
that consumers, their audience, right, people would get and connect. Because I'm like, yeah. In fact, it got me hungry for Ritz. I was like, yeah, only because I love that salty factor. So the commercial highlighted that fact.
Yeah.
So
that's-
again,
that's
it was
true.
at least with content, it was relevant to pitching the brand. It just wasn't a concept, right?
Right.
That they. Again, like the whole Dunkin', I don't even know what that whole Dunkin'
Yeah, I really don't like those
concept is all
ones.
about. I don't understand why they're doing that.
Which, yeah, to your point, it does make sense because what's her name and the other guy, I don't even know their names, the girl from Parks and Rec, she's very salty and and that was like the point that they're connecting. I'm like, okay, that works where they are making, I didn't know who the other guy was, honestly. It did at least have that connection when like Ben Affleck and Duncan is just like,
Yeah, it's
why?
like other than money, why is he endorsing, that product? What about I did enjoy because I thought it was the execution. Now again, we talk about your brand, right? We are talking about like having clarity, right? And being creative, being different. And so when you're getting into, again, presenting your brand into the public eye, I thought one of the commercials that stuck with me, and it was a celebrity endorsement, but it was playful the way they did it, was the Ram truck ad with Glenn Powell.
Yep, yeah.
Where they pitched on the whole Goldilocks thing. And he's, showing up as Goldilocks instead it flying over, bed and porridge and all these other things. He had 3 brands of trucks and it was humorous. But what I loved about it was the Ram truck decided to showcase their 3 models or classes, right, of truck that all have a slightly different purpose. Like if you're really into outdoor, rugged off-road venturing, this might be the truck. If you're wanting more sports handling, right, this might be the truck. And they show different scenarios, like he was trying the softer bed, the medium bed, the harder bed, and deciding which one he wanted. And it ended with almost like, they're all good, but which do you want? Which do
Right,
you
yeah.
choose, right? And in the end, he's telling a story, Goldilocks to the kids, right? His
Yeah.
kids. So it was endearing, but I liked how they positioned. It wasn't just a brand placement ad. They were selling the
Yeah,
products, but they were
yeah.
selling. We've got 3 model trucks, right? And then they built I think a solid concept of, hey, let's do the Goldilocks and 3 bears and trying the different trucks and. It was fun. It was
Yeah, and I feel
entertaining.
like using Glenn Powell and that was good because the concept was funny, the writing was great, and then he just happened to be in it. And then I think they chose him, I would guess, because of his association with trucks and like kind of off-roading due to Twisters recently.
And he was
and
in
so he
Top
does
Gun,
have,
you know,
he's kind of got this like
Top Gun
masculine,
2.
and so I'm like, I felt like it was well constructed.
And it was humorous
worked.
because they talked about a Goldilocks from the behind coming into the cottage, and you think it's a girl, and it turns out to be Glenn Powell with this really long blonde wig. And so it was like Goldilocks dude or something. I forget what it was, but I mean, that made
Woodsy
the
guy.
like, oh yeah, Woodsy guy. Like it was kind of funny.
But the one that really stood out is the most humble of products.
Are we gonna go with that one?
Well, then we can tie it into
okay.
Or then because I think all of these have the ones that so far we've been positive about have kind of pointed or redirected back into the brand.
Yeah,
they haven't just been so and so and this and just doing it for kicks and giggles.
Right.
It's like it's redirected back into the brand.
Yeah,
and really made that connection, which I think has solidified a lot of these. And so the one that stood out to Scott and I.
Yeah. Even my wife, we were watching and she goes, "Oh my gosh, that's brilliant." She's not into marketing brand, but she was like, "Wow, that's cool."
Was Angel Soft?
Angel Soft toilet paper. And you know what? They dropped $8 million to run a 30-second ad that basically gave the audience, your TV audience, time to run to the bathroom. Yeah. And that was it. And it was literally had a countdown timer. And it was like Angel Soft, and they had their little brand mascot, which is like a little baby angel or whatever. And they were making a word play off of opportunity and saying a potty-tunity. Mm-hmm. So we're giving you all a potty-tunity. And all of a sudden this click down timer was like 28, 27, 26, 25. And she goes off screen. And it was just this music. And it's almost like we interrupt this broadcast for a bathroom break paid for by
Angel Soft.
The Angel Soft.
Yeah.
And giving people opportunity. Now, they could have said, hey, let's do a funny commercial and I got an idea. Like people always run out of toilet paper. So let's do, football thing where they're throwing these Hail Mary passes across the living room or across the house. And the guy's reaching out around the bathroom door, catching it, whatever. I don't know. I'm just throwing this.
That's actually probably what it would have been.
But I'm saying at some point, and then someone's just like, why don't we just make it a bathroom break? I mean, that was brilliant.
Well, and you think about it, it's like, okay, with like a Charmin commercial, which those are the iconic.
Charmin, with the bears, right?
But someone probably does get up to go use the restroom during those, because they're not going to sit and watch a toilet paper commercial.
But there are people that will go to a Super Bowl party
just to watch them all.
The game's on, they're excited about that, and then commercials start, and some people are talking, some people are getting up. There's a lot of people that want to sit there and want to watch the commercials because they are entertaining.
And the little angel baby cherub or whatever it was, she goes, I know you don't want to miss the action or the ads. Yeah. And so it was a good signaling. As funny as it is that we're talking about toilet paper.
It was aware. It was very aware of its audience, of the situation, and even pointing out that it's like it is a Super Bowl ad, but instead of just pitching the brand, talking about why you should buy Angel Soft, this one's on us. Like lean into what it does, and without trying to be humorous or dramatic, or tear-jerking, and we've been talking mostly about, humor, right? But we've also talked about humor has to be done well, but there's also dramatic ways of doing things. I mean, some of the more memorable ads I thought for this year were ones that like yourtensionplease.com, which is a breast cancer awareness campaign. Yeah. And that the way they did that commercial was amazing. And then even the one about, and again, the era with Super Bowl, you remember the ad, but maybe you don't make that connection to what it was, but it was about anti-racism. It was the hate, the one with Snoop Dogg and Tom Brady, and I thought it was really well done. But I think it's about knowing your audience and knowing how to really connect.
Whether it is funny or serious, the use of the time is important. With the toilet paper one, the Angel Soft one, why it hit so well, I think is because they used the medium, they used the vehicle of a Super Bowl ad in a creative way, just like Coinbase did like 2 or 3 years ago, where it was just a white screen and they had a QR code that was just bouncing, no text or anything. So people scanned that thing so much that it actually crashed their website, and it was just kind of like a screensaver where it was just bouncing.
But you're like, seconds. So it was almost gave it entertainment. People are trying to track their phone, get their phone to catch the QR code.
And then it was kind of
what is this?
And then I think they did as an Easter egg at the very end. It finally, like on a screensaver where you wait for it to hit the corner perfectly. Yeah, I think it landed perfectly in the right angle of the corner as a little like nerd joke. But I'm like they rethought how they used the 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like the Angel software, it's like, how can we use this in a good way? Because again, with Super Bowl ads, it's, like a huge billboard, because just like billboards, there's a signaling of expense and, oh, this place must be successful because they are using a billboard, or man, that company must be doing well because they bought a Super Bowl ad. They're investing in it. And so there is signaling on that, but then also on like the Angel one, there's reciprocity in that in a weird way, where they've allotted this time for you to not miss the action and not miss the ads and be able to go use the restroom. Now you're somewhat psychologically indebted to them in a way where it's like, oh yeah, they did do that. That was, it was fun and different, but also it did mean something. Going back to how these do wrap back into brand, it's like understanding your audience and being respectful of their time and actually going, okay, how do we resonate with these people that are watching, and understanding the situation they're in when they are watching these ads or they're watching the Super Bowl.
The thing is that to remember is that you don't have your opportunity to capture audience with advertising, whatever that form looks like, whether it's a social media post, whether it is a reel you're trying to make go viral, or it is a print ad, or it's a billboard, or it's whatever it is, right? You have a very, very small window to capture your audience's attention and to get your message and your brand across in a way that's going to connect with them. You can't just throw it out there.
Yeah.
And granted, we're not talking, obviously, $8 million for a Super Bowl commercial is a big investment. We're not talking about that. I mean, maybe it's $200, $300 for that quarter page ad in a local, publication that you're hoping to reach your audience for. We always talk about how a successful brand thrives on being distinct, right, from everything else, and how they do that. It allows them to stand out, allows to resonate and have salience with the audience. So you have to be mindful of that, and you have to be intentional with that. And so you have to have clarity when you are communicating with your brand, and a way that the audience will remember it, it will stick with them, and it will connect with the brand. If you just do it just for the moment sake, I don't know that that's an effective way of communicating your brand out there, when there's so much else out there and there's so much other white noise, and everything's vying for the same amount of split-second attention.
Right. And that's even the celebrity endorsements or the celebrity placements or doing something off the wall. Those are tactics, right? They're shortcuts. They're brand association with celebrities. And then the weird off the wall is a shortcut to being humorous. Because if you lack the creative writing or funny writing, you're going to have to have a shortcut. And those tactics, they're not bad in nature if they're applied within a proper strategy. Because we've talked about ads that have been great and they used a celebrity, or they did something that was weird, like Old Spice. But the ads that just did those things as pure tactics without strategy, that's when they flop or come across as like, why is Ben Affleck and Duncan, like, I'm not getting this. There's no strategy. And like Scott's saying, it's like having that intentionality and being deliberate about going, okay, I am choosing to do, like, if it is a $300 little ad somewhere, we're going to do something that's funny, and it's going to tie it into the brand this way, because that's our message of the brand. And having those things tie together where the audience is able to then connect the dots, and then you get the bonus points of the humor for grabbing attention and making it memorable. So it's like that strategy has to be in place. And it's crazy that you do have these multi-million-dollar ads going out that appear to not have strategy.
Yeah.
Like
the touch points on the advertising standpoint or on the marketing standpoint of the brand need to be consistent too. I mean, there's a reason an Old Spice commercial is random, because the Old Spice brand has that random, wacky vibe in everything from, if you've ever read even the directions on the back of the stick of deodorant.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's off the wall. It doesn't take itself seriously. So its commercials match that messaging personality. So the brand's personality is strengthened when they have funny, wacky, off the wall things. Dunkin' Donuts coffee or whatever is, to me, that's the brand itself, and all the other touch points is not random and off the wall. And so that's why I think the commercials are just, they're desperate grabs for attention. Yeah. But to me, it feels inconsistent with, the shoes. Or I mean, I was thinking of the Skechers with the brand. I was thinking of the Skechers out. I'm like, again, the one with Andy Reid. Skechers. It was like, dude, Skechers is not like I don't know.
Where did they get this?
It's just I don't understand that one. So, but yeah, it needs to be consistent with the brand,
right.
for it to be effective.
Or you pull an Angel Soft and you just rethink the little ad you have.
Yeah.
Like, or you rethink
how you do
how you're
ads.
doing it. And I'm like, and that alone is like that is creativity. That's the like alchemy where you can take something that's like the Midas touch, where you can take a little ad, a $300 ad, and turn it into gold by just adding a little bit of magic and creativity. To me, that's the very special ones. Great writing and funny ads and all that. That's all great. I love that. But the true gold is when you can rethink a medium and really break the mold.
Yeah, and do something different, even in how you advertise.
Yeah, so either Super Bowl or Super Dole. The ads were I liked some of them. Some of them I was laughing when we were watching.
There's always a couple that stand out that are enjoyable, but there's a lot of ones that you're left going, what? And that's what brings to mind the topic of what we were even talking about. Is that sometimes they're just to be different. It's just if there's no intentionality and there's no strategy, again, reinforcing the brand. It's got to reinforce the brand. So.
Yeah. No. And so thank you for tuning in on this episode. We'll put up a poll on Spotify, and you can let us know if you thought it was a Super Bowl or Super Dole, and let us know maybe which ad was your favorite. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Brandy.
Cheers.